The U.S. horizon glided silently through the darkness of space. Its hull gleamed under the light of distant stars as it approached the meeting point. This was a historic day for humanity. After centuries of wondering if they were alone in the universe, they were about to meet the Galactic Council. Captain Frank Miller stood on the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. He had practiced his greeting speech 100 times. Next to him, Lisa Wright adjusted her diplomatic uniform. As the ship's main advisor on first contact, she felt the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. 5 minutes to the coordinates, Captain, said the navigator. Frank nodded. All crew to first contact stations. Remember your training. We represent all of Earth today. The crew moved with purpose, their faces showing a mix of fear and excitement. Humans had only recently mastered faster-than-light travel. The message from the Galactic Council had come just 3 months after their first test flight beyond the solar system. Junior Officer Alan Rogers manned the sensor station. At 28, he was one of the youngest officers on the diplomatic mission. His hands trembled slightly as he watched the screens. Captain, I'm picking up multiple ships at the meeting point, Ellen reported. Much more than the 3 we were told to expect. Frank frowned. How many? 17 vessels, sir. Various sizes. Lisa exchanged worried glances with the captain. The council message specifically mentioned a small welcome committee. Maintain course, Frank decided after a moment, but raise shields to 20%. Just a precaution. The U.S. horizon continued forward. On the main screen, the alien ships came into view. They were unlike anything humans had designed. Some looked like giant spinning rings. Others resembled smooth sea creatures made of metal. We're receiving a transmission, said the communications officer. On screen, Frank ordered, straightening his uniform. The screen flickered to life, showing a being with blue-tinted skin and large, dark eyes. It had no hair and 6-fingered hands that moved gracefully as it spoke. Greetings, vessel from Earth. I am Coordinator Velnax of the Galactic Council Security Force. Frank stepped forward. Greetings, Coordinator. I am Captain Frank Miller of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We come in peace and friendship. The alien's face remained unreadable. Captain Miller, the Council has reviewed the data we have gathered on your species. A vote has been taken. Lisa stepped closer to Frank. This wasn't following the expected protocol. A vote? Frank asked. We were under the impression this meeting was to establish initial diplomatic relations. That was the initial purpose, the alien said coldly. However, the Council has determined that humanity represents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. Your species develops weaponry before wisdom. You fight among yourselves. Your history is written in blood. Alarm bells rang through the ship as the sensors detected energy buildups in the alien vessels. They're charging weapons, Ellen shouted. Raise shields to maximum. Frank ordered. This is Captain Miller of Earth. We came here to talk. Please. The first blast hit the horizon before he could finish. The ship rocked violently, throwing crew members to the floor. Return fire, Frank commanded as more hits shook the ship. The horizon fought back, but it wasn't designed for combat against multiple advanced alien vessels. Within minutes, the ship was crippled, its hull breached in multiple sections. Get to the escape pods, Frank shouted as smoke filled the bridge. Emergency Protocol 7. Ellen helped a wounded crew member toward the escape section. Around him, people screamed and died. The ship that was supposed to represent humanity's first step into a larger community was now becoming its tomb. Only one shuttle managed to break away from the massacre, carrying Alan and 5 other survivors. As they fled, Alan watched through the viewport as the U.S. horizon exploded in a flash of light and fire. They never wanted peace, whispered one of the survivors, blood trickling from her forehead. Alan's hands clenched into fists as he programmed a course back to Earth. They'll regret this, he said quietly. Somehow, someday, they'll regret this. The shuttle disappeared into the darkness, carrying with it the seeds of humanity's vengeance. 5 years passed since the attack on the U.S. horizon. Earth had changed. Every city now had defense systems pointing at the sky. Children no longer dreamed of meeting friendly aliens. Instead, they trained for war. Commander Alan Rogers stood at the viewing window of the underwater facility, known as Deep Harbor. His reflection showed a face hardened by grief and purpose. The young officer who escaped the Horizon massacre was gone. In his place stood a man with cold eyes and a single goal. "Commander, they're ready for you," said a young aide. Alan nodded and followed her through steel corridors deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. They passed armed guards and security checkpoints until they reached a massive door marked Project Nemesis, authorized personnel only. The door slid open to reveal an enormous construction bay. Suspended in the center was a ship unlike any built before. It was black as space itself, shaped like a predator from the deep sea. Workers swarmed around it like ants, welding and testing systems. Admiral Diane Powell greeted Ellen with a firm handshake. "Commander, right on time." "Always, Admiral. How is she coming along?" "See for yourself." Diane led him to a console where Chief Engineer Samantha Collins worked. Samantha's fingers flew across the controls, her face focused in concentration. "The hull is 96% complete," Samantha said without looking up. "We've incorporated the alien metals salvaged from the debris you brought back. It absorbs energy instead of reflecting it." Elen placed his hand on the cool surface of the console. "And the weapons?" Samantha finally looked up, dark circles under her eyes showing her exhaustion. "The Void Lance is operational in theory, but we've never tested anything like it. It could tear a hole in space itself." "Good," Alan said simply. Diane led him to a private room where they could speak freely. On the wall hung photos of the Horizon crew, all lost except for the 6 who escaped. "The President is getting pressure from the United Nations," Diane said. "Many think building a single super warship is foolish. They want a fleet of conventional vessels instead." Alan shook his head. "They don't understand what we're facing. I saw their technology. 100 conventional ships would be destroyed in minutes." "I know. That's why Project Nemesis continues." Diane pulled up a holographic display of the ship. "We're creating something they can't understand. Something that will strike fear into a galaxy that thought they could wipe us out without consequences." Alan studied the display. "How long until she's ready?" 3 months. Maybe less if Samantha keeps working at this pace. She lost her brother on the horizon," Alan said quietly. Diane nodded. "Most of the team lost someone. This isn't just a military project for them. It's personal." That evening, Alan visited the memorial wall where the names of the Horizon dead were engraved. He touched one name gently, Captain Frank Miller. "We're almost ready, Captain," he whispered. "They thought they knew what humans were capable of. They were wrong." The next morning, Alan watched as crews tested the ship's propulsion system. The massive engines hummed to life, creating controlled gravity wells that would allow the ship to move in ways that defied normal physics. "Beautiful, isn't she?" said Samantha, appearing beside him. "Beautiful and terrible," Alan replied. "Will you serve on her when she launches?" Samantha nodded. "Chief Engineer, already assigned. And you?" "Captain." Alan's voice was quiet but certain. "I requested it personally. The aliens won't know what hit them." Ellen looked at the enormous black ship, its surface seeming to swallow light itself. "That's where you're wrong," he said. "I want them to know exactly what hit them. I want them to see us coming and remember what they did. I want them to run." Samantha smiled grimly. "Then we'll make sure they can never run far enough or fast enough." Together, they watched as workers attached the final plate to the hull, completing the exterior of humanity's answer to an uncaring galaxy. The U.S. Nemesis. The day of the U.S. Nemesis launch arrived with little fanfare. There were no cheering crowds, no speeches, no celebration. Humanity had learned caution. The massive bay doors at the bottom of Deep Harbor opened silently, allowing water to flood the chamber. Captain Alan Rogers stood on the bridge of his new command, watching as the screen showed the dark waters outside. The Nemesis would leave Earth in secret, rising from the ocean depths like a Leviathan awakening. All systems operational, Captain, reported Samantha Collins from the engineering station. Her voice carried pride and determination. Crew status? Alan asked, his eyes still on the main screen. All present and accounted for, said Maria Gonzalez, the ship's tactical officer. The former Special Forces soldier had fought to be assigned to this mission. Like many on board, she had lost family when humanity's first colonies were attacked after the Horizon incident. Medical bay ready, added Dr. Paul Bennett. Unlike most of the crew, Paul had no personal connection to the attacks. He had volunteered because of his skill and his belief that someone needed to remember the value of life aboard a vessel designed for death. Science Officer Neil Jackson finished a final check of his instruments. The Void Lance is stable, Captain. Power levels nominal. Alan nodded and took his seat in the command chair. Only 50 crew members operated the massive vessel, most of the ship's functions handled by advanced AI systems designed by Samantha. It was a skeleton crew for a ship of this size, but fewer lives to risk. Initiate launch sequence, Alan ordered. The Nemesis hummed to life, the deck vibrating slightly beneath their feet. Water rushed around the black hull as the ship rose from its hidden berth. Activating stealth systems, Neil announced. The ship's outer layer shifted, millions of tiny elements rearranging themselves to make the Nemesis nearly invisible to most detection methods. It was one of the many technologies reverse-engineered from the alien data recovered by the Horizon survivors. The Nemesis broke the ocean surface under the cover of night, water cascading off its sleek form. Without pausing, it continued upward, accelerating into the sky faster than any conventional vessel could manage. Exit atmosphere in 30 seconds, Maria reported. Earth fell away below them, a blue jewel wrapped in clouds. For many crew members, it would be the last time they saw their home world. Approaching orbital defense grid, Samantha said. They're acknowledging our codes. The planet's ring of defense satellites, hastily built after the first attack, tracked the Nemesis but did not fire. Few people even in Earth's government knew the full capabilities of the ship. That was by design. Once clear of Earth's gravity, Alan leaned forward. Prepare for gravity drive activation. Neil's fingers moved across his console, plotting course to Proxima Centauri. Gravity wells forming. The stars on the main screen blurred, then stretched into lines as the Nemesis created its own localized distortion in space. Unlike conventional engines, the gravity drive didn't push the ship forward. Instead, it pulled space itself around the vessel, allowing for speeds that should have been impossible. Gravity drive stable, Samantha confirmed. We're on our way. Alan stood and faced his bridge crew. You all know why we're here. The Galactic Council believed they could attack us without consequences. They thought we were weak, primitive, easy to eliminate. The Nemesis will show them how wrong they were. He moved to the tactical station where Maria displayed images gathered by Earth's deep space probes. They showed an alien fleet in the Proxima Centauri system, establishing what appeared to be a forward base. Our first target, Alan said. Intelligence suggests 12 warships and a command station. They're preparing for a full invasion of our solar system. Dr. Bennett looked troubled. 12 against 1. Maria smiled grimly. They have no idea what's coming for them. We'll reach Proxima Centauri in 3 days, Neil said. All weapon systems will be fully charged by then. Alan returned to his chair, his face set in determination. The Council wanted humanity gone. Instead, we're bringing them a nightmare. The U.S. Nemesis isn't just a ship. It's humanity's response to those who thought we would die quietly. As the Nemesis surged through space, its black hull seemed to devour the starlight around it. It wasn't just a warship. It was vengeance given form. The U.S. Nemesis dropped out of its gravity well at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. The ship hung in space like a shadow against the stars, its black hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. On the bridge, Captain Alan Rogers studied the tactical display. The alien fleet was arranged in a defensive formation around their newly constructed space station. 12 warships, each larger than anything Earth had built before the Nemesis. "They haven't detected us yet," Maria Gonzalez said from the tactical station. "Our stealth systems are working perfectly." Alan nodded. "Give me a closer look at their command ship." The main screen zoomed in on the largest alien vessel. It was shaped like a massive ring with spikes extending outward. Energy readings showed weapons charged and ready. "What's our status?" Alan asked. Samantha Collins checked her readings at the engineering station. "All systems green. The Void Lance is fully charged. Dr. Bennett, all crew to battle stations," Alan ordered. Paul Bennett's voice echoed through the ship. "All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this moment for months. Each person knew their role in the coming fight. Alan took a deep breath. "Take us in, slow approach. I want them to see us coming." The Nemesis glided forward, gradually dropping its stealth systems. One by one, the alien sensors detected the human vessel. "They're hailing us," Neil Jackson reported from the science station. On screen, Alan said. The alien commander appeared on the main display. It had gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. It spoke in a harsh, clicking language that the ship's computer translated. "Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed." Alan stood tall, his face showing no fear. "I am Captain Alan Rogers of the Earth ship Nemesis. We are here to respond to your unprovoked attack on the U.S. horizon and our colonies." The alien's 4 eyes blinked in different patterns. "Your species was judged too dangerous to join the galactic community. Accept your extinction with dignity." "We choose a different path," Alan replied coldly. "We choose to fight." He cut the transmission with a gesture. "Target their command ship. Fire the Void Lance." Maria's fingers danced across her console. Void Lance targeted and firing. A beam of perfect darkness shot from the front of the Nemesis. It wasn't light or energy in any conventional sense. It was a temporary tear in space itself, a controlled version of a black hole's event horizon. The beam struck the alien command ship. There was no explosion, no fire. Instead, a third of the vessel simply ceased to exist. The atoms pulled apart at their most basic level. The rest of the ship collapsed in on itself as its artificial gravity failed. Panic spread through the alien fleet. Their weapons fired wildly at the Nemesis, but the shots were absorbed by the black hull, making the human ship seem to grow darker with each hit. "Second target," Alan ordered calmly. The Void Lance fired again, erasing another alien ship from existence. The Nemesis moved with impossible speed for a vessel its size, the gravity drive allowing it to appear almost anywhere in the battlefield within seconds. One by one, the alien ships were destroyed. Some tried to flee, their engines glowing as they attempted to escape. The Nemesis hunted them down methodically. "Captain," Dr. Bennett said quietly from his station, "perhaps we should allow some to escape, to carry the message." Alan considered this. One ship, just one. He pointed to a smaller vessel trying to escape the battle. "Let that one go. No pursuit." The alien ship fled, its sensors recording everything that had happened. As it disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Alan opened a broadcast channel. "This message is for the Galactic Council," he said, his voice steady and cold. "The U.S. horizon came to you in peace. You responded with violence. Now you will learn what happens when humanity truly goes to war. Remember the horizon. Remember what you started." The Nemesis turned toward the alien space station, its hull still unmarked despite the battle. Not a single human life had been lost. Not a single system on the ship had failed. It wasn't a battle. It was a slaughter. And it was just the beginning. News of the Proxima Centauri battle spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The surviving alien ship had brought back video recordings of the Nemesis in action. These images now played on screens in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. 12 council members from different species watched in stunned silence. They saw the black human ship moving with impossible speed. They saw the Void Lance erase their most powerful warships from existence. They saw their weapons having no effect as the Nemesis absorbed every attack. Grand Admiral Exurcath of the Drakari Empire slammed his scaled fist on the table. He was a massive being with tough red skin and sharp teeth. The Drakari were the most feared warriors in the council. "This is unacceptable," he roared. "One ship cannot defeat our combined might. I will lead our greatest fleet personally to crush these humans." While the council argued, something unexpected was happening in other parts of the galaxy. News of a ship that had defeated the council spread to worlds that had been conquered or bullied into submission. On the planet Caldari Prime, Ambassador Nar watched the recordings with growing hope. The Caldari people had blue skin and delicate features. Their once proud civilization had been forced to serve the council for centuries. "We must contact these humans," Kelnar told his advisors. "Perhaps they can help us regain our freedom." Meanwhile, the U.S. Nemesis had moved on to its next target. The ship was hidden in the shadow of a moon, observing a council mining colony that used slave labor. Dr. Paul Bennett stood in the observation room, looking at the scans of the colony. He could see thousands of different alien species working in harsh conditions. "I thought this was about vengeance for Earth," he said as Captain Alan Rogers joined him. "But there's more happening here, isn't there?" Alan nodded slowly. The survivors of the Horizon brought back more than just technology. They brought information about the Council and how it operates. Many species suffer under their rule. "So we're becoming liberators now?" Paul asked. "Perhaps," Alan replied. "Vengeance alone is hollow, but freeing those who are oppressed while punishing those who attacked us, that might be justice." Their conversation was interrupted by Neil Jackson over the ship's communications. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission on an encrypted frequency. It's not from Earth." Alan and Paul hurried to the bridge. On the main screen was the face of Ambassador Kelnar. "Greetings, U.S. Nemesis," the blue-skinned alien said. "I represent the Caldari Alliance. We have suffered under Council rule for generations. We wish to offer our support in your fight against them." Alan studied the alien carefully. "How do we know this isn't a trap?" "You don't," Kelnar admitted. "But consider this. The Council fears you. That alone makes you valuable to those of us who seek freedom." After the transmission ended, the crew debated what to do. Maria Gonzalez was suspicious, but Paul saw an opportunity for allies. "We should meet with them," Paul argued. "If we're fighting only for revenge, we're no better than those who attacked us." Alan considered all opinions before making his decision. "We'll arrange a meeting, but we'll be cautious." Later that night, Tactical Officer Maria Gonzalez discovered something troubling. Someone had sent an encrypted transmission from the Nemesis to an unknown location. "Captain," she reported to Alan in his private quarters, "I believe we have a traitor on board." Alan's face hardened. "Find them. Quietly." Across the galaxy, Grand Admiral Exurcath assembled the largest battle fleet ever created. 200 warships gathered, all with upgraded weapons designed to counter the Nemesis. "The humans think their ship makes them invincible," Exurcath told his commanders. "But every weapon has a weakness. We will find theirs, and we will destroy them." As both sides prepared for the next confrontation, no one noticed the small probe hiding among the asteroids near the Nemesis. It wasn't Council technology. It belonged to something much older and more dangerous, something that had been watching from the shadows for millennia. The true enemy had yet to reveal itself. The meeting place chosen by the Caldari Alliance was a small moon orbiting a gas giant. The Nemesis arrived early, hiding behind the planet's rings to watch for any signs of a trap. Ambassador Kelnar's ship was small and lightly armed. It approached alone, just as promised. Captain Alan Rogers had agreed to the meeting, but took precautions. He would leave a small team including Dr. Paul Bennett and Maria Gonzalez, while Samantha Collins and Neil Jackson remained on the Nemesis. "Keep the ship ready," Alan told Samantha as he prepared to board the shuttle. "If anything seems wrong, don't wait for us. The mission comes first." Samantha nodded grimly. "Be careful, Captain." The human shuttle landed on the airless moon where Kellinar waited in a temporary dome structure. The three humans entered cautiously, weapons ready. Ambassador Kellinar stood alone, his blue skin almost glowing under the dome lights. "Captain Rogers, thank you for coming." Alan studied the alien carefully. "You said you wanted to help us. How?" "Information," Kellinar replied. "We have spies throughout Council space. We know Grand Admiral Shurkath is gathering a massive fleet to hunt you down." Maria kept her hand on her weapon. "We can handle whatever they send." Kellinar smiled sadly. "Not this time. They've studied your ship's capabilities from the Proxima Centauri battle. They're adapting." Paul stepped forward. "Why help us? What do you want in return?" "Freedom," Kellinar said simply. "The Council has enslaved dozens of species. Your ship has given us hope for the first time in generations." Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent communication from the Nemesis. Samantha's voice came through Alan's comm device. "Captain, multiple ships just appeared in the system. Council signatures." Alan looked accusingly at Kellinar. "You led them to us." The blue alien looked genuinely shocked. "No, this is not our doing." Before they could argue further, the dome shook violently. Outside, they could see energy weapons firing from orbit. "We need to get back to the ship," Alan ordered. His team rushed to their shuttle, bringing Kellinar with them. As they raced back to the Nemesis, they saw it already engaged in battle. 20 Council warships surrounded it, firing constantly. The black hull of the Nemesis absorbed most hits, but some new weapons were actually causing damage. "How is this possible?" Maria asked as they watched a bright blue beam strike the Nemesis, leaving a visible mark. "They've reverse-engineered some of your technology," Kellinar explained, "and combined it with their own." The shuttle docked with the Nemesis under heavy fire. They rushed to the bridge where Samantha and Neil were fighting to keep the ship operational. "Status report," Alan demanded as he took his command chair. Neil looked up from his damaged console, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "The Void Lance is offline, hull integrity at 67% and falling." "They were waiting for us," Samantha added. "This was a trap, but I don't think the Caldari said it." Alan glanced at Kellinar, then made his decision. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us behind the gas giant." The Nemesis moved with surprising speed despite its damage. But the Council ships pursued relentlessly. A massive blast hit the ship's port side, sending everyone tumbling. "Engineering to bridge," came a panicked voice over the comms. "We've lost containment in Section 4. Radiation leaking." Neil Jackson unbuckled from his station. "That's where the main Void Lance controls are. Someone needs to manually realign the system, or we can't use our primary weapon." "I'll go," Alan said, standing up. Neil shook his head. "With respect, Captain, you're needed here. I know the system best." Before anyone could argue, Neil rushed from the bridge. Minutes later, they watched on internal sensors as he entered the radiation-filled section. His hands moved quickly over the controls as his body absorbed lethal doses of radiation. "Void Lance back online," he reported, his voice growing weaker. "Tell my family I did my duty." The sensors showed Neil collapse beside the console. He didn't move again. Alan's face hardened as he turned to Maria. "Target Grand Admiral Shurkath's flagship. Full power to the Void Lance." As the Nemesis emerged from behind the gas giant, its damaged hull glowing from the heat of battle, Captain Rogers faced a decision that would change the course of the war. 6 months passed since the revelation about the Wraith Collective. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The U.S. Nemesis, once the most feared warship in space, now led a combined fleet of human and council vessels. Its black hull had been repaired, though scars remained as a reminder of past battles. On the bridge, Captain Alan Rogers stood beside Grand Admiral Exarcath. The towering red-scaled alien had become an unlikely ally. Between them floated a holographic map showing their target, a massive structure hidden near the galactic core. The Wraith Collective's main hub, Exarcath explained to the assembled commanders. It has controlled council communications for centuries, slowly turning us against each other and any new species we encountered. Helen nodded, and it almost succeeded in making humans and the council destroy each other. The evidence had been overwhelming once both sides began looking for it. Strange patterns in council decisions, unexplained technology failures during peace initiatives. The Wraith Collective had been manipulating galactic civilization for thousands of years, keeping biological species fighting each other while it grew stronger in the shadows. Ambassador Kellinar joined them at the map. Many worlds have joined our alliance now that the truth is known. The Collective's hold is breaking. But it won't go quietly, Samantha Collins added. She had redesigned much of the Nemesis' systems to resist the Collective's digital influence. Our scans show it's building its own ships now, machines that don't need living crews. Dr. Paul Bennett entered the bridge, bringing the latest update. The medical teams are ready. We expect heavy casualties in this battle. Alan looked at his crew. Many familiar faces were missing. Neil Jackson's sacrifice had been just the first of many. But new allies had joined them, both human and alien. The Nemesis was built for vengeance, Alan told them. But today it stands for something greater. Not just humanity's survival, but the freedom of all life in the galaxy. The combined fleet moved toward the galactic core. 300 ships from 24 species, once enemies, now united. At the center flew the Nemesis, its void lance modified to target the specific energy signatures of the Collective's technology. The battle began suddenly as thousands of machine vessels emerged from the massive structure. They moved with perfect coordination, attacking in complex patterns no biological mind could have designed. The Allied fleet fought bravely, but ships began falling one by one. The Wraith Collective had prepared for this moment for centuries. We're losing too many vessels, Exarcath growled as another group of council ships exploded. Alan made a decision. We need to get the Nemesis closer to the main hub. The Void Lance needs to hit the central core directly. That's suicide, Maria protested from Tactical. The defenses are too strong. Not if we all work together, Eric Daniels said. My contacts inside the council have identified a weakness in the hub's design. The plan formed quickly. The Allied fleet would create a diversion, while the Nemesis and a small group of ships made a direct run at the hub. It was desperate, but it was their only chance. As the Nemesis accelerated toward its target, machine vessels swarmed around it. The black hull absorbed hit after hit, but even its advanced technology had limits. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7, Samantha reported as the ship shuddered. The Void Lance is charging, but we need 40 more seconds. Alan and Exarcath stood firm as chaos erupted around them. Human and alien worked side by side, fighting for their shared future. 20 seconds, Samantha called out. The view screen showed the heart of the Wraith Collective growing closer. It pulsed with cold blue light, the artificial mind that had manipulated the galaxy for so long. 10 seconds. Machine ships crashed into the Nemesis in suicide runs, trying to stop them. 5. Alan looked at the faces of his crew, human and alien alike. Fire. The Void Lance fired one last time, its beam striking the very center of the Collective's hub. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the structure began to collapse, the blue light flickering and dying. The machine ships suddenly stopped, drifting lifelessly in space, without the central intelligence to guide them. They were nothing but empty shells. On the damaged bridge of the Nemesis, humans and aliens looked at each other in disbelief. Then cheers erupted across all channels. The warship that had been built to frighten the galaxy had ended up saving it instead.